Fine, bye. We'll just start the whole thing over. How's that?
That sounds perfect.
Hey everybody, I'm so excited to have Nancy Barrows here today. And guess what? We're going to be talking about some really great conversations today that we need to have. But I'm going to start this out with, due to the nature of some of the topics that we're going to have in this live interview, you may not want to have your children there because it might not be suitable for children. But I just want to throw that out there. And you didn't miss my crying at first. Right? But that was fun. So I just want to say that Nancy is one of the easiest women to speak with, and you will learn so much of why she's helping women, men, and children. This isn't just a women's live broadcast, because what she's going to be talking about, I believe, is happening to all men, women, and children, possibly. But it's also National Mental Health Awareness Month. And make it sound like it's the best thing ever, right? I'm like, wee! But it's also National Lyme Disease Awareness Month too. But she's changing the narrative on a whole bunch of different topics. So Nancy, why don't you introduce yourself and let everybody know just how wonderful you are.
Oh, gosh, Jenny, I don't know even when we started recording, but you had this beautiful outpouring of emotion before when we thought we were live. And I definitely am sad that it wasn't live for everyone to see, because it was really, truly human, beautiful, amazing outpouring of just what happens when you put your heart and soul into something and put yourself out there, right? There's just so much, just feeling so much, it has to come out your face. It was amazing. Okay, about me, first of all, I don't know that I've ever heard someone say that I am one of the easiest women to speak to, which warms my heart. Thank you. I so appreciate that. Let's give the quick background on me. First, before we get to me, congratulations to you on your first show, and thank you for giving me the privilege of being here with you. This is amazing, and I will forever be the first ever, and I will remind everyone of that. That was my privilege. Okay, so yes, Nancy Barrows. I am a speech language pathologist by training. I have over 20 years in the field, over 20 years of entrepreneurship. I have a private practice that I run and build every day. I work in the public school system part-time, and I love what I do. In the world of speech language pathology, I specialize in social cognition, which is what people think of as social skills. But truly what I'm doing, the way I see it and the way it's reflected back to me by the people I work with, is I'm really giving people a voice, giving them the ability to communicate. And the way I'm doing it, the area I'm doing it, it's a way that strengthens and allows for deep interpersonal connections. And you know me, and I know you, and I'm all about community, and I'm all about that connection and having everyone, feel seen, feel heard, feel that they can be who they are, show up fully as they are and who they are. And so it's just, sort of been something that I've pulled through, not even consciously, through so much of what I do. Hi, Tim. Hi, Brian. Thank you guys for being here. And I'm also a mastery coach, which I've been getting a lot of feedback from people that I don't talk about it enough, and I don't let people know. So here I am talking about it. So stepping into a little bit of my own discomfort here with you, Jenny. But I am a mastery coach, and I work with people of all ages to sort of find the the ties that bind us to our past, what's keeping us from making changes that we really are putting effort into and wanting to move forward with, and discovering what those things are, and then really having a clear vision of where you want to go once you've cut those cords. And to me, why I say mastery coaching is because I can give you all sorts of suggestions on all sorts of different things. But if I walk away at that point, you're better off than when you started, because hopefully you've cut those ties and you have more understanding and awareness of that. But to make that change, there has to be mastery. It has to be integrated into your life. It has to be something that you internalize. And that's the journey that we will be taking together, is from beginning to end. And I love doing it. And I love the feedback I get from people, because it is making a difference. So that's one of the pieces of what I do. Now, my LinkedIn story is the one that you were saying that parents may not want children around for. And, we had this off-camera talk about, sure, we're going to put the warning, but honestly, kids should be here. The discomfort is in adults having to talk to their kids about what we talk about later. And we'll talk about that in a bit, because I have some really strong feelings about, the conversations we should, and I hate the word hate, that we really need to be having. Yeah. We really need to hold one another accountable, and in doing so. So before I share my story, I always tell people that, it's a hard story to receive. Most people have not had a conversation about this subject, or maybe even in this way. So receive it however you need to receive it. Like, whatever feelings that come up for you, disgust, anxiety, curiosity, are all so valid. And I am not insulted by any of them. So,
and it is on Facebook, on my personal page, and on my company page too, just so you know. Okay. I think I was directing that, like we were talking about before. I mean, how many kids are on LinkedIn? It's more the Facebook and YouTube. But that's okay, because as we were saying, I think it's very important that you get this story out there.
Well, and I think it's important, like, let's say somebody younger watches this and then goes to someone and talks about it. That's the brilliance of sharing our stories, right? Is to create the conversations around them, to have people feel less alone, to have people sort of breathe a sigh of relief. I often think, like, there are thoughts that I had in my head that I was horrified that I was having, and certainly would not say out loud. And to hear someone else say them, there's just such a freeing piece there. Hi, Abby. So good to see you. I'm trying to keep track, and I'm going to try.
Hi, Abby.
and comment back to everyone. I will do my best. But so let's get to the story. I was sexually abused by my grandfather until I was 16 years old. And I had guarded that secret up until 16 as if my life depended on it, because that's how it felt. No one could know this. No one could possibly know this. And it wasn't something that I was ready to disclose. Like, I had a, thought process around it. It was taken from me. The secret was taken from me by a mandated reporter. And so it was going to have to be out there. And what happened for me is I went from carefully guarding the secret to having it been unleashed on all the people I love. And that was another trauma in and of itself. And we can get into all of this. Ask any of the questions you want. Hear you, Jenny, anyone in comments. I'm just going to give you sort of the brief overview. That happened when I was 16 years old, and it went into the court system. I had some court-ordered therapy to start, which was really interesting. I couldn't say a word. Even if I wanted to, I couldn't say a word in those sessions. It just was not something I was ready to talk about at all. Eventually, and what this therapist said, the psychiatrist said to my parents, was someday she is going to knock on someone's door when she is ready. And I know that they probably didn't believe that. And I don't know that I ever believed it, but I did 2 years later. So the good news is, I did. I made that step through that door, and it was not easy by any means. Very soon after my secret was disclosed, I developed some really restrictive eating habits, and then I would say disordered eating, and then fully became anorexic. Food terrified me, and it was a very hard way to be in the world, I will say, and that's another conversation too that we can get into. But my day was often planned around food or the avoidance of food. A lot of energy went into that too. When I was 20 years old, I confronted my grandfather about the abuse, and that was the precipitating event to my first, and I say first intentionally, my first of many major depressive episodes. To this day, I still struggle with depression. And I joke, but it's true that getting to mental wellness is not like you don't get there and stop. No one gives you a certificate or a plaque and you hang it on your wall and you're like, good, I'm mentally well. That's it. We're good. It's a daily practice for most of us. Everybody I've talked to, I don't want to say everyone because I haven't spoken to everyone in the world, but most of us, it's a daily practice of, keeping ourselves in that space. My LinkedIn story, we'll fast forward many years through, a marriage of 16 years, a divorce. Thank you, Lynn. I really appreciate that. And what I will say to you, Lynn, is what I say to a lot of people. It doesn't feel courageous to me because I'm not frightened. I'm not scared to share my story. It feels so impactful and empowering for me to be able to share my story with others because of the impact it has on them. Not me. I've lived with this my whole life, and I'm at this place where I have done the work and I'm thriving. It's really for everyone else, and it's not just for people who have been sexually abused. It's for people who have, have been in the place of like, you don't see a way out, or you just don't care if there's a way out. There's so many places we end up in through different experiences. But thank you. I do appreciate that it seems courageous to people. And I hope it's perceived that way because I know for a lot of people who I am speaking to today, that they step into a place of courage and share their stories so that, again, we remove the shame and we talk about this and we make sure that it's no longer in the dark and things start to change. So after a 16-year marriage, a divorce, I'm going to fast forward you to LinkedIn. And I think some people are surprised to find out that I've only been on LinkedIn 5 or 6 months. So I first came onto LinkedIn in November 2020. And I was introduced to LinkedIn by my best friend, Raquel. And I was one of those people, LinkedIn is for business. I have a job. I don't need it. I was so wrong. So wrong. And I will say, coming off of my divorce and losing community and not trusting my gut, I'm choosing friends and so many other pieces that went with that. My community was very small. Very small. And I've lived in the same place and worked in the same place. So there weren't a whole lot of new people coming into my life. And LinkedIn brought this amazing, you in the comments, you that'll watch and replay, and those who you will never say a word, but will have listened to my story and Jenny and I's conversation. The community that LinkedIn brought to me was exactly the community that I was looking for. I may not have known it, but they were exactly the community I was looking for. And they are the reason I do this. They are the reason that, my story is out there and it keeps getting propelled forward, and that, they give me this amazing feedback and they feed me just to my soul that what I'm doing is making a difference and keep reminding me to, keep going, which at this point, I'm not stopping. There's no way to stop me. But so yes, fast forward to LinkedIn. I'm on LinkedIn. I'm doing a telethon, a fundraising event for XXO Connect. And I'm talking about my childhood trauma. And the platform XXO Connect is about authenticity, and it's about people with similar experiences connecting with one another in a safe space. And I'm talking childhood trauma, and it hits me like smack in the face. Nancy, you're part of the problem. You won't say the words, I was sexually abused. And in that moment, without any forethought, I hadn't talked to my family about how they would feel about it because we all went through it together. I shared my story much like I'm doing right now. This is what it is. And there was amazing things that happened right away, indescribable things, really immediate feedback and such positive feedback that my story was important, that my story deserved to be told, that people were listening, and it was salute.
I told Tim I was not going to sneeze. And I thought he goes, you sneeze. So I'm like, all right, that's fine. Excuse me. Yeah.
And for me, there was such a shift in me. Now, I had been talking about my abuse to people in my life fairly openly for several years, many years, but I'd never let it go public. And one of the reasons I didn't, again, part of the problem is I was worried that people would find out that I work with kids and had been abused. And there are people out there that have some very interesting views about people who have been abused who choose to work with children. I chose to work with children because I understood them. I understood what it was to be a little being going through something that nobody knew you were going through. I knew what it meant and understood to be misunderstood of why you were acting the way you were acting, or underperforming, or whatever it was, right? That was, people would tell me all the time I wasn't living up to my potential. I remember in grade school, elementary school, and sitting across the desk from the principal with all the test scores facing me, and in my head what I wanted to say was, I'm working harder than everybody else around me. You have no idea how hard I'm working. But my mental energy was going into maintaining a secret, and with a completely different outside than what was going on inside. So I went to work with children because I knew I could make a difference. However, I hadn't said it before. So first time publicly saying it, I had no idea how much, and I'm going to say that little piece was weighing on me. My energy shifted immediately. And I talk about, there's people I talk with that, like, I find myself, I sit up straighter and like my chest expands and I take up my full space, right? I enter my full space because I'm fully me. And that's what happened. That's what happened in that moment. And it's just continued. It's been such an amazing, wonderful journey. I have had the privilege and gift and blessing of this community and the wide variety of humans and experiences, but we all have that common thread of empathy and support and compassion and, I'm going to say, bravery, right? Anyone that shows up is being brave. You show up how you are being brave. So that's the story in a nutshell. Yes, and I would say, Abby, it has been therapeutic in so many ways, and I have experienced LinkedIn in ways that I didn't know existed. And I appreciate you for telling me that to you, I feel real and true readiness. We all find our moment. And, sometimes your moment of being ready and real isn't saying it to a live audience, right? It's not, everybody has their moment of real, and everybody has their quote unquote biggest fear that they're out there trying to conquer. And every single one of us has something going on that someone else doesn't know about. Often people tell me, I don't know anyone who's been sexually abused. I don't know anyone. And I'm going to tell you, you do.
You do.
You do.
You absolutely do.
You just don't know that you do.
Yeah, I had never heard anything about this. I mean, I heard of it, obviously, because I was a journalism major and you hear all these stories, but I never ran into people that had these issues until I got into the cannabis industry, and a whole new thing, a whole new world came out. So when I heard your story, I had no judgment. Because I've heard this nonstop for about 7 years now from people. I mean, the things that you hear, just like, wow. So yeah, please don't consider anybody judging you. Because the ones that know you, they know your story and they love you.
And thank you for that reminder. It's a beautiful reminder. And what I will say is I don't feel judged at all. And that's what I want people to hear about sharing your story.
Right.
We're so worried about being judged. And I didn't tell my story for many years. I didn't say no to my grandfather or tell anyone it was happening, because I felt like I had participated for so long that I was just as guilty as he was, that I was just as sick as he was, that I was just as disgusting as he was. And the reality is that I'm thinking back, and there was no one who received my story that way. There was no one who ever made me feel judged, which is incredible. And I'm lucky, because that is not always the case. I have met men and women who have been told to shut up. It didn't happen. Don't ever talk about it again. Who've been kicked out of their homes for sharing their story.
It happened. You're like, it happened.
Right. But it happened, right? It did happen. And there's that discomfort that people have. They're so uncomfortable that they can't even, that they won't believe someone that says they've had this experience. They just won't. And so that's why I'm here doing what I'm doing. And like you said, I am speaking out on a wide variety of things. I'm talking about my eating disorder. I'm talking about depression. In my daily life, believe it or not, the thing that I struggle most with is my depression. Not the sexual abuse, not the belief that I'm broken beyond repair, not my food, relationship. It's the depression. And make sure everyone out there hears, like, it's a daily. Like I said, it's a daily. Right. And I am a big positivity gal. I'm big on gratitude and all of that good stuff. But please don't mistake that being a 24/7 thing.
Right.
And it doesn't take away that I am a person who lives in gratitude and with positivity, but every day is different. Every moment can be different. And that's important. It's important because I won't appreciate the highs if I don't experience the lows. It reminds me I'm alive. For so much of my life, I lived in here. These were maybe here. These were the feelings that I experienced. That was it. So I want people to know that it's. I try very hard to show up. Thank you, Tim. I try very hard to show up as is. And there's days where it's this, and I am flying high, and I'm here, and I'm live with you and people in comments, and they make me feel like $1,000,000, literally, like my feet are not touching the ground. But I also show up first thing in the morning when I'm exhausted, and we'll throw a video up there, and I will throw a video up like I did this week about how I unleashed my inner demons on some work colleagues this week, and it was so undeserved, and it was ugly.
I saw your video the next morning because you're like, I did something. I was like, maybe she was on one of the gazillion lives that she was on last night. She said something. I didn't hear anything. But I do want to say, though, you need to say love. That's what I put up there because Tim said say love.
Yes. And if I wish I could do it the great way that Tim does. Love. I don't know. Yeah, I know. But, one of the things that I loved in our preparing for being here today together was you are bringing up something that nobody else has asked me about, right? That the physical connection to trauma, the physical connection. And by the way, I am a big believer in CBD for all sorts of things, but I have a nerve injury. It's a long story, but I have pain every day. And what do I reach for when it gets to a level that I no longer can tolerate or function with? My CBD cream. And I love it. It's been the thing that works rather than the handfuls of Vicodin that doctors wanted to give me and Neurontin that would zonk me out, which are all great if they work for you. No judgment. But those things were not working for me. The Vicodin made me sick. I couldn't open my eyes with the Neurontin.
You can't take those things either. Like, I totally get sick within, like, when it starts to dissolve in your stomach, you're just like,
done.
Can't do that.
So CBD gave me my life back in a way. Like I can leave, like I can feel good. I can feel good. Hi, Morgan. There's some Morgan and Mark. Those are okay. Hi, guys.
Yeah, I keep going through them. You're probably like, why is she going through them so quickly?
No. I love it.
So many people have things to say to us. Well, to us, but mostly to you. No. But what I was going to ask you about, because it is Lyme Disease Awareness Month too, and we were talking about this ahead of time. It's an autoimmune disease. And do you feel like any of the issues that you've had physically, body-wise, like with IBS or something, were brought on from the abuse, the sexual abuse? I think you kind of had probably mental abuse just from trying to keep all this stuff in you too. And that it totally plays with your gut all the time.
Emotions, we know, right? We know that is a strong marriage right there. So yes, I believe that much of my digestive issues come from my trauma. It's sort of always been my thing. I remember as young as going into high school, going with my mom to talk to the administration. And here's another thing that I think about on a regular basis about using a staff bathroom and not having to use the kids' bathroom, because I knew what would happen with my stomach, and I was mortified to think that I would have to use a public restroom. And I mean, and granted, I was 13, 14 years old going into high school. And so, I think that what I experienced, the little girl who went through all of that in her brilliance and bravery brought me through. And I don't know why she was as smart and fierce as she was, but man, do I thank her. She used the coping strategies she could find, the dissociation, there were others, hypervigilance, all sorts of things. But one of the places where she took in all of that trauma was her gut. And that sticks with me. Yeah. And it's funny, I have secondary to having IBS, I had to have my gallbladder removed when I was really young. I was in my 20s, which is unusual. And the medical community has this lovely little sort of reminder system of who's most likely to have gallstones. Fat, 40, female, fertile. Right. Thank you so much. Well,
Yeah.
I was not overweight. I was female. That was true. I had not been pregnant or given birth. And I was certainly not over 40 at the time. I am now.
Really?
Right.
I'll go.
Right.
Listen,
Listen,
over 40 right away.
I earned all of those 48 years and I'm going to celebrate them. So,
yes, you did.
You know, yeah, I'm okay with it. Does it sound weird to me? Yes. Cause I feel like I'm still a kid, but hard fought years and I will claim those. But
no,
I went and they told me, you've had this experience. I know you've had this experience, that there was nothing wrong. There was nothing wrong because they weren't looking in the right places because I didn't fit those criteria. And when I complained about pain, I wasn't off the top of the pain scale, which is what you would expect when someone has gallstones. Well, guess what? I lived through trauma. I have a very high pain threshold. I can ignore my body for long periods of time. Right. So, Finally, it was bad enough that I ended up in the ER, and the gallstones were so bad that they showed up on an x-ray. They're not supposed to show up on an x-ray, but I truly believe that subsequent to my trauma and all that I was going through, when I became anorexic and was anorexic for years, that those stones were created because I wasn't eating and my body wasn't using the bile that's stored in my gallbladder. And literally, I mean, I wish I could have created diamonds or pearls. You know, that would have been so
awesome.
Yeah,
like, hey, you have some.
Exactly.
But
I created some pretty serious stones in that gallbladder, and that had to go. So, I feel like even my chemistry, I know my chemistry was altered because of my trauma, and treating depression, from a pharmacological place has been difficult for me. I know that I still don't sleep well. Are these autoimmune? They're all parts of the squalid that goes with trauma. I know that for a long time, I was in pain every day. And I was given a diagnosis of fibromyalgia, which is a real thing. But it also was before they acknowledged that depression has physical symptoms as well, and that pain is part of it. So it's this whole journey of you really have to advocate for yourself and know your body, be confident. And like I said, I know that you have had these experiences as well. And you actually don't know this, but my ex-mother-in-law suffered from Lyme disease. And so, I've seen firsthand, and I think a lot of people don't understand what it is, but I've seen firsthand the struggles she has gone through within the medical community, within her own physical being, within her communities, all of that kind of thing. So people are here saying that I am brave. You are courageous and fierce. You've fought through so much to be where you are today. I am incredibly proud of you. You lead by example, and that is not a small thing. So yes, in my body,
it's really not fun to lead by this example, but it is what it is, and all we can do, Nancy, is move forward. I was just going to ask you, another question for you was, but how do you tell people to move forward when they're going through all these things? If it's the sexual abuse, if it's the anorexia, or it could be the IBS, like how do you deal with that, especially with adults, but also with kids? Because kids, as you were just saying, they have IBS, and I probably had that when I was in elementary school, to be honest with you, because I was so hyped up all the time. So I was just curious if you believe that kids could have that too, because you did have it.
Yes,
right?
I definitely did. I definitely did and still do. And that's the thing. Hi, Dorothy. There are certain things that I have been able to heal and certain things that will stay with me and I manage. Right. So my brother's joke to me used to be that I could do the bathroom guide to LA. Right, because anywhere I was, if I needed a bathroom, I didn't have the luxury of waiting till I got home. I pulled off the freeway to find the first bathroom I could find because of the way my digestive system works. And I have found ways to live with it, to accommodate it. And they are things like I always will wake up 2 hours before I need to leave the house.
Yeah.
It's not fun to lose sleep to this, but guess what? If I do that and I follow my morning routine, then I am 90% sure for the rest of the day that I will be good, right? And so that's the other thing, the mental effort that goes into managing all the pieces and parts. I want to acknowledge that and acknowledge the people who get tired, and people don't understand why, because they're managing so many pieces and parts of their physical health and their mental health at the same time. Moving forward, my call to action, right, is there's call to action is what do you do as a human? As a human, what I want you to hear is giving up is not an option, even when it feels like it's the only option. I went through a long period of time thinking my body was broken beyond repair. And, if you're going to have to live like that your whole life, well, what's the point? There is a point, and there are ways to heal. And it's not just going to a therapist. That was transformative for me to work with amazing mental health providers, but I've also worked with acupuncturists. I've also worked with people who deal with herbalists, and I've dealt with energy workers to really heal all of me. And I have pretty much been open to anything because I've gotten to those points where I'm so deep down low that honestly, if someone said I needed to stand on my head and put raisins in my nose for 20 minutes a day, I would do it. If you're going to tell me that help,
I would do it.
So you're right. And I know there's people out there who relate because you get to a point of being desperate. It's like, well, where do you go from desperate? Where do you go from desperate? You go to your community. You go to your community that supports you. You go to your community that you can show up and be real and be like, today is a really shitty day. And I'm not caring very much if I get through it. Oh, or you go to Disneyland, your happy place, right? Right.
Exactly. I just had to pull that out because
I love that.
It's just there.
Well, and that is very Jenny to me. That's part of your brand, is your little ears. I love it. But you go to your community, you get your support, and you be as honest as you can in that moment. You express yourself the best way you can, and you ask for what you need as clearly as you can see it for yourself. That's number one. I mean, there's times when I show up and I'm all out of whack, and I know I am, and the people around me, and they'll ask me, and I don't know what I need. I really don't. Most of the time, it's for people to just be in the space with me.
Right.
So I don't feel alone. Just show up and there are people in my life that show up and tell me what I need to hear, even if I don't want to hear it. But honestly, my call to action, well, we're going to talk about two things separately. How do you take care of yourself? How do you take care of a child you suspect has been abused? And I'm going to put that to the side for now, because that's something I want to go into.
You can come on again if you want. We can talk about that.
Thank you. And that we'll go into it a little bit, and I'll come back anytime you will have me. And you know that, Jenny. I am one of your biggest fans. You know this. You know. See, you did it.
I know. See, I did it. Yes, I knew I would do it when Nancy was on. Oh, wait. I did see. Wait, I know who taught me to do it right. You probably taught Robert. Oh, yeah, he said to put more down like that.
Yeah, you got to put your knuckles together and then make a point. It's beautiful. It's a heart no matter what. Now put your hands together. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
You got
if Brian was on here, he'd be like, Jenny, seriously, could you just figure it out?
Yeah. Well, and
it's in front of the mirror. I'm like,
and that's, don't. Anyway, my other piece is, what is my call to action? My call to action is that everyone listening today, everyone that sees this on replay for forever and ever and ever to come, because it'll be out there. My call to action is, have a conversation with someone about this. Have a conversation about what you're seeing today, what we're talking about today, abuse, hidden disabilities like autoimmune conditions, bad days, good days, ugly days, everything in between. But go talk to someone about it. Make these conversations be the conversations we're having on a regular basis, so that someone like me who shows up and tells my story, not to belittle it, but I become a dime a dozen, because everyone's talking about their experiences. So mine doesn't stand out to people. And once you've had that conversation, call that person to action to do the same thing. Call them to action. Let's get people talking, because there's so much shame around this, and shame is insidious. And when we feel alone and by ourselves, and we feel, I've heard it all sorts of, feel defective, feel, ashamed, feel ruined. I've heard people say all sorts of things, but when we're in that space and we're in that space alone, man, there's just so much hurt and pain there. And so let's be willing to be uncomfortable with one another and hold that space for one another. And really, like you said, show up without judgment. One of my biggest fears when I started disclosing when I was younger is that people were going to look at me and be disgusted or change their opinion about me, or somehow it was going to change everything they knew about me. And again, I'm so grateful that wasn't the experience I had. But if you hold space, loving, non-judgmental space, you love them, you support them, You're there for them. You can be with them. You're not going to jump in and try and fix it. This is a huge gift to give to anyone with anything going on in their lives. My second call to action is talk to your kids. We said at the beginning, like, this may not be appropriate for children. Actually, this is a very, very important subject to be having a conversation with kids about. And I think that it's, again, the adults that are uncomfortable having that conversation. And I understand, because people have come to me and asked, well, how do I talk to my kid? And they're thinking in their minds that it's a sex talk. And yeah, I understand you don't want to have a sex talk with your 5-year-old, but let me tell you, it's not a sex talk. It is a talk about boundaries. It is a talk about trusting their intuition. It is a talk about knowing there are safe spaces in this world to share what's going on with. And so you talk about their bodies being theirs. I use the example of bathing my nieces and nephews when they were younger. There's points on one end where you have to bathe them because they're not capable of getting clean and keeping their bodies healthy without help. But even in those times, I would say to my niece, I'm going to wash your vagina now, or to my nephew, I'm going to wash your penis now, so that they knew this is not just something I get to do, and your body now is no boundaries, and I'm going to do what I want. And I said it every time. When they got older and they could be trusted to wash their hair and actually get it wet, the question was, do you want to do it, or would you like me to do it this time? Because every time you can change your mind, and I would ask every time, and giving them that permission that their body belongs to them, right? Not even your mom and dad, not even your aunt, not even, your body belongs to you. And it's yours to treat with respect and to honor when something doesn't feel good to you. So again, it doesn't matter if it feels good to anyone else. Does it feel good to you? No, then that's your answer. That's the only answer you need. And here are the people to go to with this. And it really should be, you can go to anyone, because as adults, we need to take on the responsibility of creating that space that anyone could come to, not just a child. Any human being who wants to share something vulnerable should be able to, and know that they are going to be given that safe space and that kind of reception. So those are my two big ones there.
I think that's great. I was going to go back. I'm going to go back a little bit, and I started to interrupt you, and I thought, don't do that, because she's totally going through her story right now, which is a great story. So I was going to ask you, when you walk into a room with like 15 people or 20 people or 1,000 people, you're like, hey, how do you feel? Hey, how are you doing? You feel like crap, make you feel awful. But you say, I'm fine. Were you the I'm fine person? I am. I'm fine.
Right. I often am. And there's places where I can be fine. Right. Places where, being authentic doesn't mean I let everybody know every bit of what's happening with me. But it means that there are places where I know I can show up as is. And it's safe space, and I'm moving toward brave space, right? Brave space. I want to feel like I've done a good job of creating safe space for people, but now I want brave space where you enter and your truth is your truth, and you can say it, and you can own it, and you can step into being fully yourself, maybe for the first time. Like, how empowering and amazing is that? But there are certain places where, not everybody needs to know everything, and I show up some percentage of authentic, but with the people who are in my life that are those people. If they ask me how I am, I might say okay, but I am trying to use the words that, I'm just not ready to talk about it. I am okay, but I'm not ready to talk about it, right? I'm safe. Often I say to people, I'm safe, but I'm not ready to talk about it. And that's my history of depression, for people to know, like, okay, I'm safe, but I'm not ready to talk about it. Or I'm safe, here, let's talk about it. This is going to get ugly, because I think a lot of the value to my story is the ugly in between, the messy, snotty, gross, fall asleep on the floor, not shower for a week, lie to friends and family, ugly part of it.
I don't think you could do that, though, because we're going to talk about this a little bit, not much longer, but with all these podcasts you're on every single day, and you're working, I don't know how could you sleep on the floor and not take a shower for a week? Someone would come and find you.
Well, and I think that I'm at a place where that is very true.
Yeah.
Right. But there were years not so far back when I was going through my divorce where, I could. And remember that my support system during those times, my local support system scattered. It did not have that. And so, and I was giving off a big, and I've been told this by my neighbors who are like now family and take care of me, that I was giving off a very big, don't even fucking try to talk to me vibe.
I was going to say stench.
Stench.
You're taking a shower for a week and you got the cats. They'd be like, Mom, like, seriously,
people didn't even know I lived here when I first moved in. And I was in a place where my community was far away. And so, we've gotten so into, yes, I agree, David. I agree. And I think so many of us have, and the importance of us talking is to bring that to light. And one of the things that I have decided for myself that I am going to create for others is that safe, brave space for those who feel like they don't have it or don't know that they can inhabit it. So my support system was far away. And so it was easy to be like, hey, my mom on the phone, what are you doing this weekend? Oh, I'm doing this, this, and this. A friend, hey, do you want to get together? Oh gosh, I've got plans, right? It was easy to tell people that. And it just happened. And so even if people, like now I know there are people who know more about my experience, even my closest friends who will reach out. In fact, a couple of weeks ago, Raquel, Boris, and Courtney Franklin, who are two of my Bruin besties, my college roommates, I was having a hard time and I was not showing up when Raquel was in town and they were worried and I told them I was fine. I was just busy. And, one night, both of them showed up on my doorstep. Now, this is coming from San Diego and coming from Palm Desert. So each of them had at least a 2-hour drive to get here, showing up at 6:00 because they were worried about me. And saying, we're going to take you out to dinner. And, I talked with Matt Wolf earlier. Sometimes it wasn't the right thing to pull me out. But the fact that these two women showed up on my doorstep because they were concerned about me, they loved me that much, they cared about me that much, that they would literally drive 2+ hours to take me for a 2-3 hour dinner, get back in their cars and drive home and not get home until like 1 a.m. I don't know. With that community, I will never be lost again. And they are not the only people in my community who I know are looking out for me. And I know that if my pattern of communication changed, I'd be hearing from people. But it wasn't always that way. And I know there are people who go through depression or depressed mood that are doing exactly what I did. It's exactly what I did. And that's why I compel people all the time. If there's a change in the pattern of communication, pay attention to it and ask. Worst comes to worst, you ask a question and they are fine. But sometimes you just need to be invited to the conversation when you're on the other side of it and feeling lousy. So there's that. So I'm terrible at remembering what question I'm answering. So if you want to bring me back.
I was like, no, you actually answered it because I was asking you what you'd like to tell people about moving forward when they've actually come out and said, this is what's been going on in my life. And you're saying, just be honest and just, I guess.
As honest as you can be. Me at 16, I wasn't ready to say any of it, share any of it. And it was horrifying to me that people knew.
How did they find out about this? Did you go and talk to somebody? Did you slip up and you said something by accident?
I slipped up is exactly what happened. I did not know that there were laws. I didn't know that there were laws against this, that anything would like this. Right. I mean, I didn't know anything of the nature of what was to come was in existence. So I was at a summer program and a bunch of young girls, young women were sitting around talking about what things that come up, boys, or relationships and girls in both ends of what people were feeling and all ranges of identity. But what came out was sort of the first times, and people were talking about their first time holding hands, or their first time, kissing someone, or their first time being felt up, using all the words that we use when we're younger, because we're still embarrassed and people haven't used, real words with us. But as people are talking, I realized that I knew the answer to all of those questions, but I would not say it out loud. I wasn't going to answer those questions with those people. And my mood shifted, and I believe I started to cry, and a girl that I had become close with sort of pulled me aside afterwards, and she's like, what's going on? Like, what was, kind of thing. And I told her, and she, again, I'm so wise. There are so many wise souls out there, because she was my age. She was 15 years old, maybe. And she knew that what I was telling her was serious. And she knew that it was bigger than what she should be dealing with, and that it was bigger than what I should be dealing with. And she went and told an adult. And I didn't know there were mandated reporters, but there are mandated reporters, and that's how that all happened.
And I was going to say, I mean, actually, you can't even date somebody's, well, people do, until you're 18 legally, right? And if you're not 18, you shouldn't be doing that. He is not 18.
No.
Obviously. He cannot be your grandfather and be like 18 when this, I don't even know when this started with you, but I'm just saying we didn't talk about how old you were.
I'm happy to answer those questions. I was probably about 5 years old. I was probably
because one of my friends was going to hop on here. She's probably on the Facebook page. She just told me today her grandfather started when she was born. Like she was literally under a year. And she finally confronted them, finally confronted her parents. And the parents were like, and this is like, she finally said, why don't you believe me? Like, why don't you believe? She's my age. I mean, she's a couple years younger than me, and she was in her 40s, and they didn't believe her.
Right. And that's what I'm saying. I was so lucky. No one ever did that to me. And she's such a amazing, brave, incredibly beautiful soul, man. We all have our journeys, man. You know, and it's not like I won't say that.
I would love to connect you two, because she has Lyme, and her Lyme is a different kind, because she has the type of Lyme where you have the joint pain. I don't have that. So the joint pain and that type of stuff. Mm-hmm. So she's in a lot of physical pain all the time. And emotional pain too. So
I'm a big meditator and a visualization person. And one of the things I do for my pain is that I visualize being in the cockpit of an airplane, which I know nothing about. So it's perfect. I know nothing about. All I know is that there are a lot of switches and dials. Hi, Janae. Thank you for showing up. I so appreciate you. Everyone.
Thank you, Janae.
Abby and Dorothy, and I'd have to look back in the comments, but Tim and Brian and Carl I saw, and there's the Mark and I think it was Mark and Matt. Mark and Morgan. Thank you to all of you for being here for this conversation. I do really appreciate it. But I'm in this cockpit, right? I'm in this cockpit where there are dials and buttons and flip switches and things that move all over. And I am in this cockpit, and what I'm doing is I'm looking for the switch, the button, or combinations of dials and whatever that control my pain. And I fumble around in there until I find the ones that I can wait, it's coming back. Okay, so we're going to move this one, but what happens if I flip this one? I literally take the journey in my head and I find what controls my pain. And I'm a big meditator too for those kinds of things. And it doesn't work for everyone, but it is a piece that has been really helpful for me. So I like to share it.
Thank you though for sharing that. I appreciate you doing that, because some people don't know where to go from here. And I don't always have the best questions to ask you, because, like I said, I have not gone through this, but I've met enough people that have gone through that. And so I'm really proud of you for being on here today and for, telling us so much about your process. I mean, it's a story, but it's a real story. And I don't want people to think she's not telling the truth, because this is a real story. You can't tell this story every single day if it's not real, because you would mess up. Uh-oh, I almost said the F word. Sorry.
Yep, I said it a couple of times already. So
sorry, YouTube, and sorry, Facebook. We're not on LinkedIn Live yet. But that would be kind of funny. So, but yeah, so I'm just so glad that your family didn't come out against you. I mean, I know you've talked about that before. That was difficult on them, but at least they're still behind you.
I was gifted with the perfect family for me. And Abby, what you're saying right here, and I'm going to try. Okay, there we go. Did it. This is so true. And it's this generational trauma. And I have to tell you, I am so proud to be someone who is stopping generational trauma, because if we look at the history of my family, there were other abuses going on, and it just kept going generation after generation after generation. And I am stopping it.
They're very quiet about it. Everybody's very quiet, aren't they?
Of course, it's hush hush, and in Yiddish we say it's a shanda. Like it's embarrassing. It's a shame. You don't talk about it. You don't say those things out loud. You don't air your family's business, right? Well, I'm so fortunate, like I said, that I have the perfect family for me, because not only am I airing the business, they are telling me to say it louder, more frequently, and how proud they are of me for doing it. So I'm,
I know I am too. Thank you. I mean, thank you for really being open and honest with everyone.
Pleasure.
So what else would you like to share with us, Nancy? Because you're on so many, I just want you to blab out. You're on so many podcasts on LinkedIn, but they're on YouTube and Facebook, correct?
Yes.
And I don't know about Twitch, but I know that you guys are on everything.
Twitch happens
So
too fast for me. I can't. Twitter, I'm starting to jump into, but Twitch happens way too fast for me. I can't do it. And I've forayed into Clubhouse, and I think Clubhouse has a lot of benefits for people who do not want to be identified per se, and can engage in a conversation better that way. Being a speech language pathologist, for me, I love seeing people's faces, their body language, their tone of voice, because there's a message there. There's always a message there, and sometimes it matches what you're saying, and sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes it's the same, and sometimes there's something going on. Yes, congratulations to Jenny on this amazing show. But yeah, so what am I doing? I am doing too much, but I love it. So I have my own YouTube channel, and most of where my shows and my appearances are there, show up there, and the same with my Facebook and same with LinkedIn. But I would love for everyone here to join in, and the timing is perfect. On Sunday evenings, I am the co-creator and co-host of a show called Connected Human Conversations. And that one airs on my Facebook and my YouTube, and Mike Paterano, my co-host, on his LinkedIn, because LinkedIn Live has not caught up to me yet. Apparently, my application's sitting somewhere getting dusty, but I know they're going to get on it, because every time I talk, I say it.
I know you do. I think it's great. Why did Brian call them?
Brian, yeah, I think he would do if he could. I think one of the problems is the application has now been truncated so much that it's really very little personal information that you put on there.
That last night.
Yeah, and so that's piece of it. But hey, everyone in the comments, feel free to tag at LinkedIn and ask them, hey, why haven't they given me live yet? I wouldn't mind that at all. But I am. So Sunday evenings, 5:00 Pacific Standard Time. And Connected Human Conversations is a place where Michael and I are creating this safe space, this brave space, and we invite everyone to engage with us through the comments. And we bring up, things that hopefully and seem to be resonating with a whole group of people. The human experience is where we're touching on, from, depression to the voices in your head, to unconditional love, to sexual abuse. These kinds of taboo topics are happening. So I would love to see you guys there in the comments, and, hey, take a screenshot, post it, and tell me you are there. It'd be fantastic. You can also come to the Island of Misfit Toys, which is on Thursday nights, 5:00 Pacific Standard Time. And that's a group of us that get together like we would after work, before there was COVID, and talk about all sorts of things. We start by finding out how our week was and what's on everyone's mind, and we go from there. I have the privilege of being a part of the Dream Team on Saturdays with Brian Schulman and Tim Soam for Shout Out Saturday, and Shout Out Saturday and What's Good Wednesday, which I will talk about briefly. There you go. I say, wait a second.
And I got my StreamYard sweatshirt, so I'm going to wear that tomorrow too.
There you go. Wait, here, look at
Tim.
Let's see if it works. Hey, this is like Shout Out Saturday. This is what we do on Shout Out Saturday and What's Good Wednesday. It is a wonderful balance with the places where I'm having very serious conversations, and it happens. Shout Out Saturday is every Saturday at 9 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, and you can find it. Brian Schulman, who's in the comments there. If you're not connected,
he's right here.
Right. Yep. If anyone who's watching or commenting, now we're on replay. If you are not connected to the other people who are here, please reach out. And these are amazing humans. These are really people that bring such value to your life. And I will say, I built my community by being in comments. Like, that's a lot of how I met people. So please keep showing up. Yeah. So Shout Out Saturday. Yes, we are going to shout out some amazing things from your week. We're going to social distance, so be ready. Super fun. You're going to see the filters, and I'm going to try and change them and see if it goes with me. It is really about having fun and radiating positive vibes and shining the light on others, which is Brian Schulman's specialty. It's in every part of his being. He doesn't know how to do it any other way. What's Good Wednesday? Wednesdays at 11:00 Pacific Standard Time. Same thing. What's good? Tell us what's going on. Let us celebrate with you. Everything about you, everything that's going on with you. Also social distancing, but you picked the song on Wednesday, so come prepared. And we have our lip sync battle, our LinkedIn lip sync battle live. If you want to be a part of that, then get in touch with me and I will get you the information you need to be a part of it. It's super fun. And again, it's not about how well you lip sync, and it's certainly not about how well you sing, because you won't be singing. But I want to tell everybody that you could be the worst lip syncer in the world and it won't matter, because there's a delay. Just like what's happening now, you guys, there's a delay. And so you don't have to worry about it. Just come and have fun. Pick a song you love. Scream from the top of your lungs with your sound off for all week here. Just show up and feel the funness with us. We call it full force funness. And let's see where else. Yes, those are the regular things I do. And then I have people like you, Jenny, who so generously share your space and your platform and your audience with me, so that I am continuing to build a beautiful community, so that I am continuing to get my story out there. I'm continuing to reach people. I'm continuing to make people feel like I am one of the easiest women to talk to, which again, that is.
You are. I mean, you are. And we met, you didn't even tell everybody when we met. We met in December. She remembers when I met on one of the lives I was asked to be on. And there were so many people that he kept bringing in, right? And I was so squirred, I was like, oh my God, my line brain's like, what? Mark's in the background going, don't let her drink any wine like you, Nancy, because she'll be like totally squirreled. And I'm like, I was squirreled anyway, because all these people were coming in. I know, it's really funny. But yes, we met in December, and that was kind of my whole introduction to all of you, which is wonderful, because I've been on LinkedIn for pretty much as long as Brian has. But mine was all professional.
Hearing these stories. I love hearing people's stories. But one of the things I love about LinkedIn, and I'm sorry to interrupt you, is that
I interrupted you. So
people meet me in this moment. And whether that moment be right now or tomorrow when I'm on again, they meet me in this moment. They get the most real, authentic version of me. And I love that. I love that about LinkedIn. And I love hearing everyone's stories. Like, yeah, I didn't know that you've been on for so long. And I love hearing your story. And I know what you're going to tell us. You were here on professionally. Hey, guys, did you catch that filter? Hang on. See if I can do it for you again.
What was that?
Snap cam. Love you.
There you go.
Look at that. Makeup, no makeup. Where is it coming from? Anyway.
You're like, eyelashes, no eyelashes.
Exactly. I mean, if I can be ready to go to prom in a click. But you were starting to tell your story, and these are the ones I love, is how long you've been here and how your LinkedIn why evolved over time. So go ahead. I know you were going to say you started with business. Go ahead. I want to hear the whole thing.
It's all been business. So what I'm seeing, even with this, is completely different than I would have ever seen on or looked for on LinkedIn. Like, I would have never watched any videos because I just didn't even know. Because of Brian now, we all know about LinkedIn video. But I mean, seriously, I would never think that a professional site would have Saturday morning. What's your favorite? Yeah. Oh, no.
I found it.
But see, I don't have many.
Hey, who's there? Somebody can take a photo of us, a screenshot, please.
I know. Can't Brian do it?
Probably. If he's still there, he will.
Oh, yeah, he is. All right, here, let me see if I can. See, on this new computer, I don't trust it. So let me see if I could do it. All right, smile. I don't know. I don't know if it will work.
I can do a snip. Hang on. Ready? We're going to, let's see. Hang on. Ready, set. There you go. All right. Let me save it. Right now we can get back to your story. Go.
No, I was just going to say, for me, it was all professional. I mean, I got jobs off of it. I found clients off of it, but I never saw it as being a personal thing. Like, you didn't put your personal stuff out there, but now I see it completely different.
Well, and that's, I think, one of the positive BC. I know, it's fantastic. It's really great for those 8 a.m. meetings too. So if you're not playing with SnapCam, really worth the time. Professionalism has changed in the pandemic. And I think it's one of the beautiful things that has evolved out of it is we have become real people who work with real people. My cat is sleeping right now, but I don't know. That is the exception, not the rule, that I don't have a tail under my nose during some sort of.
I was waiting for the cat to go, hi, Mom, my tail like that. You don't even sneeze. I'm just like, How can she do
She do that? Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
she's napping right now, but I mean, that's real. That's what it is. Hey, I can't tell if what you can see in the background here, but let's see. Nope, other way. I have a bag of trash. My trash has to go out. I mean, this is just as real as it gets
It's
here.
real life. It's real life.
And we get to connect on a human level. And I love that the professionalism isn't the letters after my name, which I have plenty of, and it's not reading you my resume. My professionalism is being real. My professionalism is showing my talents. My professionalism is showing up. My professionalism is stopping to really ask people how they're doing, give a sincere compliment, check in about something I know if you weren't feeling well last week, or you were going through. Professional has taken on a whole new look, and it's beautiful. It really is.
Real. And that's that goes back to the whole autoimmune disease thing, because a lot of people, it's an invisible disease. Not all of them, but some of the autoimmune diseases are invisible until they become visible. And to stay at home, people, I think, have been able sometimes to take care of themselves better, or not, because we couldn't get out to see the doctor for a while here that I needed to see. But so I did get worse. But a lot of people, they're taking care of their bodies better, they're eating better, things like that. So I think I kind of took over on that, but I think that's important, that actually your boss now is seeing that you're not well. You're not well. Like, all of a sudden you're like, I don't feel well. And the reason why is because you're finally seeing it. And we haven't been paying attention.
Right. And especially if you're, like you said, if you haven't been getting the therapies and interventions and doctor visits that are keeping you, on your level set. Sometimes sometimes it's just level set. Then they get to see it. I mean, I had a conversation with the head of my department because my therapist, because of what was changing in her life, needed to move my therapy appointment. And what she had available was a time that was going to conflict with work. And so I had to talk to, someone about, can I do this? And they were working with me as best they can. I mean, they can't say, yeah, go ahead and take a time and go do it, whatever you want. But they were so open to working with me. And so supportive of me continuing. And it worked out that she had something else that didn't conflict with work. So, but it was just that lovely moment of going and saying, hey, this is real. This is what I do. This is what keeps me whole. I need this. What can we do? How can we work this? And somebody saying, oh my gosh, this is a priority. We'll figure it out. Right. That person, I mean, my colleagues, now that I'm doing this, it's on my Facebook. It's on my Instagram. It's on YouTube. It's on LinkedIn openly.
It's out there. It's out there.
So you may have worked with me in the past or know me from high school or wherever, and you tune in one day or scroll through my page one day and you get a whole different new story. So I walk into places where I see people I haven't seen in a while from work, and they know this is what I'm doing. They know my story. And more often than not, people have said very lovely things of, quote unquote, how amazing I am, but they didn't realize how amazing I was based on what my journey had been. So I don't know.
Nancy, you see this right here? I've known David since I went to Interlaken for summer camp. And I don't know why he's saying, if you're saying anything. I don't know why.
David,
so I don't know.
Like to connect with me. And when you are ready and want a safe, brave space, you can reach out, but we can start being connected now. I can't tell you how other people will receive you, but I know Jenny and I know myself. And if there's something that you're holding back that you'd like to say, you've got two great people here to share it with. Oh, you're going to say it. Oh my gosh, I'm so proud of you, David. We're here. We're here. Share with us. My gosh, you gave me chills. You're incredibly brave. Every hair on my body is standing up. No pressure. We're all just sitting here waiting for you. So in the meantime, I want everyone to pay attention. Look what's happening here. Jenny,
in the meantime, he was my first summer camp boyfriend. My mom used to drive me down to Detroit to see him. He used to kiss.
I would say I remember my summer camp boyfriend, and all of my firsts were things from. We're going to keep talking until you're one of my firsts we're all different. I redefined my first. They were the things I chose to do, chose to be engaged with.
He just said next show. Our next. He texts us.
Take
He's
your
probably
time.
at work too.
You don't know how old you are, but you've been holding on to something for a really long time. You get to take all the time you need to share it with anyone that you choose to share it with. So no pressure.
Yeah.
But I remember my first kiss was at summer camp, and I remember the boy, and I remember that we had been eating those, like, it was like movie night at camp or something. We've been eating hot tamales or cinnamon jelly beans or something. And I remember kissing him, and he tasted like cinnamon. And then I remember being so nervous afterwards that I had like go outside because I was worried I was going to vomit. Like, and it had already happened. And I was like, oh my gosh. But those my summer camp memories happened to be fantastic.
Yeah.
And I'm so lucky because with
it was band camp. We were in the band side, not the orchestra, not the dancers, not the drama side, not the creative writers. We were in band camp.
Yeah, so where you go away and you live with people, it's the same as like my sorority sisters and my roommates.
Yeah.
When you live with people, those bonds are amazing. I'm so lucky to have had those opportunities. And I still keep in touch with camp friends to this day that I met when I was 7-8 years old. So I get it.
Look, David doesn't even know that I've gone over the 1 hour mark, and I was only going to have a half-hour show.
Oh,
but I'm going to need an hour show.
Well, there you go. Well, you bring a speech pathologist on and she's going to talk. So I should.
Well, I've had some other people say, well, aren't you going to have an hour show? And I'm like, no, all my other ones that I've taped have just been a half hour. They're like, you could do an hour. I'm like, okay.
You did an hour. You did it.
An hour. So David, come on. I think don't be embarrassed.
No, I think he's just taking his time, probably choosing his words. If he's not shared this before and there's a ton of fear around it, then
that's true.
I have the utmost patience, grace, and compassion for you, David. And I am so honored to potentially be a part of this moment. And if you've changed your mind, that is okay too.
So you already talked about the ways that people get in touch with you. I'll post this below after it's already live, but I already have another paragraph in there, you guys, with the show also, but it lists all of her social media. She's on LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook, Facebook and YouTube. So make sure though that you mention if you want to do the Calendly, and I'll put that up there too. They have the free I'm like over there. The free class, not class, but just call with her.
Free call.
Mention my name that you heard Nancy on my show, just so she knows who you are, even with the social media, so she can put you up a little bit higher on her list of people to accept, because Nancy is very popular.
Well, I'm very deliberate.
That's why I'm so honored to have you on today.
I'm very deliberate in my connections, and I like to really reach out to people and have some sort of contact with them. So I'm not willy-nilly being like, yes, accepting. And it's not to be judgmental or anything like that. It's to continue to have the connection I do in the community I'm building. And thank you. Love to you, David, Abby. Beautiful, beautiful sentiment. And David, you have just grown leaps and bounds tonight by even considering saying it. So please give yourself a lot of credit. Be very proud of yourself and find time to be in this moment where you stepped into fully being you, or at least considering even being fully you. Gosh, there's people who go a lifetime without doing it. So bravo, bravo, bravo. And I'm happy to sit and talk for as long as you want. I don't know what kind of time you have, Jenny, but you're going to talk to me about it.
You know what? He's in Detroit, so he can take as long as he wants. So he's an East Coaster.
Oh, okay.
Not really. It's really funny when you live in Michigan, they say you're Midwest, but sometimes they say you're the East Coast, and they're like, we're so not East Coast.
Almost everything is east of me because I'm in California. So
I get that. Yeah, I get that too. I was always like, okay, I'm in DC, now I'm in LA.
I love DC. DC was one of my favorite places that I lived.
Where did you live? Might as well go down that rabbit hole, right?
There you go. It was around 20th and F was my first year. My second year, I moved a couple of blocks over. So it was
Did you go to American University or?
George Washington University.
George Washington, that's right.
We went to
I
Georgia.
worked at the Kennedy Center. So I was an intern there.
Okay.
So that's why I was trying to figure out like what area. I just couldn't remember. But yeah, that's a great area.
I loved it. And I dropped out of GW. And I have to tell you, it took me years until the last probably 6 months to say that I dropped out of college. I always said I left, but you know what? I dropped out. I couldn't stay. I couldn't hang. And there's no shame in that. Oh, stop it. I'm not going to let you beat yourself up, David. No, for crying out loud, nothing. For crying out loud, you're doing something big here and you do not get to beat yourself up for it. I'm sorry. Do not treat my friend David like my friend Jenny's friend David like that.
Yeah. David, come on. It's okay. And if he doesn't want to talk to us on here, you can totally email Nancy.
Yes,
right?
you're welcome to find me any way you want. And Jenny has all my contact information. Please do not feel pressured. This is something that you do in your time, in your way. And I'm speaking that to you from someone who didn't have that privilege. So please take your time, do it in your way when you are ready.
Right. Talking Michigan.
Yes.
Oh, yeah, I was talking about Michigan. I threw him off.
Okay, David, do you want to send us just in the comments, like, do you want us to keep this space open for you, or are you feeling like you'd rather do it a different way? Just let us know. I'm happy to keep the space open. Let's put it this way, whatever's going on my day, nothing's more important than you right now.
It's true. He said for crying out loud. I thought he said I'm crying right now. I was like, so I heard all that crying, and I was like, wait, read that again. I was like, oh, I don't remember that. But,
crying out loud, he has a slow connection. You're wanting to share and you're being thwarted by a technology and internet. So sorry.
I didn't even remember what you do now. I thought he was in IT. And actually, Nancy, he had said if I needed to come back to Michigan and I need a place to live, I can move in his place.
Nice.
And which is really nice if I can't do any stairs. So because he was like, you can't get in your sister's house because there's too many stairs. So you can't, I can't see my mom anyway. I swear, Michigan's like California right now, or worse. Lockdowns.
Michigan is worse than we are right now, actually. We went through, we went through it, but we're leveling off, which, like, again, if we all care about one another, and we all think about the big picture, then it will stay that way. And I believe in humanity. So I know that we can do this. And I know that in our hearts, we care about one another. And we just need to show it with our choices and our behavior. So I know it's going to get better. I'm excited because honestly, I was asked to speak live in July back east. So the world is going to support me in getting there and making it safe for me to be there. And the universe is definitely going to make sure that happens because, just that will be my first keynote.
Well,
yeah, so it's a big deal for me.
Oh, I think I just saw, excuse me, I don't know if it was you. I'm trying to remember who I just saw that announced that they had a keynote. Well, Brian's always like, I have this, I have that, and this and that. And you're like promoting him. You're like his big, just stuck with us, so connection. So I think what happens with Brian is that you're his PR person. You are. And so
I will say that
there, it's kind of like, well, it's kind of sad because I remember seeing something though.
I'm legit. I might just be behind his mom, Brian Schulman's biggest fans. Brian is one of those people on LinkedIn who I connected with early on. And I remember it's on my Calendly and I have I'm going to be speaking with Brian Schulman. And I remember I took notes on the conversation because, it's Brian Schulman. What do I need to know about Brian Schulman? And never knowing that it was going to turn into this mentor-mentee relationship that evolved into friendship that, is involved into family. But that's the kind of thing that happens on LinkedIn. And so, I'm all about amplifying. I'm all about abundance. And I'm all about, making sure that the people around me, the people I love have, their light shining. And so, Brian's busier than a lot of people I know. So he gets a lot of attention from me in terms of that.
That's so cute because I'm like, who's PR person? But he has call out great things for you though, too. So Brian,
it's mutual admiration.
Really you. Yeah. It's his time, I guess, for the 4 hours.
And that's it. Is like, I am so appreciative to be a part of his show because
I was wondering how you got that job.
Oh,
not
God.
even a job. I don't know if it's a job or not, but
How did I get that job?
placement.
Brian, if you're still there, maybe you can help clarify, because I'm not entirely sure. I think I was showing up for Saturdays and I was staying for a while. And then it might have been that I was having a video call. Call in. I don't know, we can maybe give him the StreamYard link. I don't know if he has that option or you're comfortable with that, but we can also continue having a conversation after the broadcast.
Yeah, why don't we do it after the broadcast?
In StreamYard, so we can do that. But I was there and I think we were having a video call and he was like feverishly working on something. And I'm like, okay, hi, what are you doing? And he was going through and doing his show recap. And those of you who know Brian and have been part of his recaps, he goes through and everyone that was on his account, everyone in the comments, he mentions you and he's puts a screenshot or says something about what you were there talking about. And he just puts so much time, love, and energy into making his audience know how important they are to him. And it's really his show because it's Brian. What you all get for that 4 hours on Saturday is Brian Shulman. What you all get for what was 4 hours this past Wednesday, which is unusual. If you didn't see that show, please go watch it. You see a very real Brian Shulman on that show, which is
I saw that.
Very powerful. Not that he's not always.
I
know. Brian's always. We're used to him being the positive guy, and not that he wasn't positive, but he was definitely emotional this past Wednesday.
Was that the 15th anniversary show?
That was actually LinkedIn's birthday.
So that one. Yeah, I saw him
recapping a lot of his experiences.
Oh my God, I'm crying. I'm like, it's okay. No.
Yeah, it was his experiences and his journey on LinkedIn, which again is very powerful. And he's one of those people who leads by example. Anyway, he was doing the show and I realized that he was going back and watching the entire show to know who was there and to go and get, clips of the show that he could post. And I was like, well, okay, what can I do to help? Because he had done so much to help me that people would have paid lots of very good, valuable, invested money in doing that he was teaching me by mentoring me. And I felt like there's got to be a way I can get back. And I realized, well, I can write down who's there in the comments and I can write down who is there in the show. And I suggested that he start taking screenshots so he wouldn't have to go through it. And so it just evolved from there. It was me, seeing someone working hard in a place that I could show gratitude and help. And that's what it became. And for a lot of the shows I wasn't on, or he would pull me on briefly and I do my little, like everybody else would do a guest spot. And then I would leave and I'd be in the background doing my things. Or one of his favorite things would be to pull me on stage, in front of the camera like we are now from backstage when I wasn't ready for it. And I had no idea I was even on camera. There's shows that I had no idea I was on camera and it's just happening. I think there was a phone call once, but that's how it started. And I think that's how most amazing relationships start, right? We get to know one another, we get in each other's lives, we see what we're doing, we appreciate that, we have gratitude for that. And not only did I want to help, I wanted to be a part of it. You guys, if you haven't been to the shows, it's something like, man, I wanted to be a part of it. So I may have voluntold Brian that he was going to have someone helping him with his show. That's very possible. And since he's not here debating it, I'm going to say that's what happened.
I don't know if he came back. Because we've gone from like 6 or 7 down to like 2.
I'm sure he has something scheduled because he always has something.
He's very busy.
Or he's in comment jail, which I don't know if that happens on Facebook, but he ends up in comment jail all the time.
Does he? Oh, no. But he always writes me afterwards. Like if I send something to him, like a picture, or I haven't heard about the sweatshirt yet. I thought he'd be like,
he actually mentioned it to me. He's like, did you see Jenny's sweatshirt? And then you had said this morning and I hadn't, but
that's because of Tim. Because Tim, when I got my I passed.
Yes.
My little certificate. He said, oh, you're going to receive an email from StreamYard. And I'm like, okay. Now she's like, you just want a sweatshirt. I'm like, because Tim told us to send one to you because he likes you or something,
Here's the funny part is that I had the same gift and not everybody gets the same gift. It's different. And I got this book. I don't have my certificate to hold up, but I am also a graduate of Tim Sohn's class. And I think right here, we are the best advertising that he could probably have.
I think we are too.
So many of us doing this from what we learned.
Because you went live because of him. I went live
before I finished the class.
I actually could have gone live last week, but I said, no,
Yeah.
I'm just going to wait because I wanted you to be my first person.
I had learned so much in the first few sessions that I ended up live even before opportunities were coming to me because of how I was showing up, which is amazing. And Tim, hang on. Tim, as being some, here, I'm going to be some of your great PR and I owe you a video, but you will be getting it. And I mention every time that I am on Shout Out Saturday, that I am a graduate of your class. I would love to get the hookup with StreamYard. And if I could get a discount code for even better. Let me put out what I like, the huge thing I want. And if it falls short of that, I would love a free account.
You have to do a hashtag StreamYard.
Yes, I would love a free account. That would be amazing. I think like all of us, it's managing where does your time and money go? I would love that. So maybe to Mr. Tim.
You got the duck? Oh my gosh, Abby just said she got the duck.
Oh
Abby, did you get the stuffed duck? Because I know that Robert was like, I got the pillow. My parents.
Puddles is new. Puddles the duck is new. It's a very sought after thing. But hang on,
Abby.
Mr. Tim Sohn, if you're out there, maybe what I need first is to show the universe that I have StreamYard, and then I'll get LinkedIn Live.
Yep.
First prize. You won more than once.
What?
Wait, Abby.
She was on last time too.
Oh, because you did the course twice.
Yeah, she did. Yeah, I met her in this course or this session.
She was okay, so I'm so sorry. She was in my course with me. I didn't realize that she was doing it again now.
Yeah.
Look at you, Abs.
Yeah.
And Abby, I don't like where you are with your stuff, but she's going to have some amazing content coming out and stuff that I can't wait to consume, Abby. So please keep me posted. Tag me on anything that you're doing. So I in my class, I know what the first prize was. And if you got that, bravo. I did say in my class that if I were to win the first prize, which was very unlikely because my participation.
What'd you get though?
No, I won the sweatshirt, but the first prize was, I unfortunately couldn't participate to the highest level as possible because of I'm working more than full-time job and all of that. But I had said to my cohort, my classmates, that if for some reason I won it, that I was not going to accept it because I didn't have LinkedIn Live. And at the time I didn't have a show. And so it was going to benefit somebody else more than it would benefit me. Now I didn't have the opportunity to gift it because I didn't win it, but that was my intention. Is there were so many people in my class who were so ready to go with these brilliant ideas that if I was to win that first prize, I was going to pass it on to someone else. I got a cozy, lovely sweatshirt out of the deal, but now Tim Sohn, I don't know.
It's so soft on the inside. I was like,
and it has that amazing hood that has like the ombre hood. I love it. But Tim Sohn, I'm calling Tim Sohn out, and I love my friend Tim Sohn. But hey, I continue to be one of your biggest fans and best advertisements, as is everyone in your class. So, but I'm going to pretend like it's me. And so, if you could get me a hookup and get me StreamYard Live, I would so appreciate that. StreamYard free, not live. Sorry, free. And then my live
free. You know who needs that though? You know who really needs that though? Robert.
That's true.
Well, Robert already got it. Like they just brought him in.
See, that's amazing.
Isn't that crazy?
It is. It's wonderful. The universe knows whose voice needs to be heard. I absolutely believe that. I will get my Robert in time, but I would really love the StreamYard so that I can be streaming to more than one platform at once. StreamYard, Tim Sohn. Abby, let's see. Making your videos tonight. Yay. Want you on in the oh my gosh. I would I'd be honored. You know that anytime. Yes, message me. I would be honored to be a part of that. Thank you. Thank you. You guys don't know how much you honor me when you ask me to be on your shows. This is your space. You could have anyone here with you. And when you choose to invite me to share that space, it really is a privilege. I truly believe. Thank you. All right. I think that David has given
I think David flew away.
I think he's going to share.
Yeah. The Millard. But that's okay. He'll get in touch with you or with me after this. But is there any closing that you want to make, to tell people about Nancy? Because I just want to make sure everyone knows how to get in contact with you.
So you've got all those links that will be there. And I know they're in part of your post. And what else do you need to know about Nancy? Well, she's the crazy cat lady, as she's been told. She is the queen of stream because I'm everywhere. I am the queen of kindness. I don't want a kingdom. I want a kindom. I am evolving every day, and I learn from everyone that I have the privilege to be in communication with. So thank you for everyone for sharing themselves and their stories with me and enhancing my life. Thank you.
Dang, girl, we made it almost an hour and a half.
Oh man,
but it's you and me, and I love your story. I love to chit chat.